We've got the Volvo EX30.
Volvo's smallest EV.
Oh, good power.
There goes Andrea's water. All right, so we're slipping and sliding a little bit because it's wet this morning. Right now, we're going to get into what's under the floor of this Volvo.
We've got the all-wheel drive model with a 69 kilowatt-hour battery. It has 400 kilometers, 250 miles of range, 422 horsepower, and 400 pound-feet of torque.
The base model is the rear-wheel drive with a 69 kilowatt-hour battery, 420 kilometers, slightly more range. That's 261 miles, 268 horsepower, 253 pound-feet of torque. You give up a lot of horsepower for just a little bit more range. Right now we're going to get into what are the key standard features of this brand new Volvo.
The base trim comes with a 12.3-inch touchscreen with Google built in, wireless Apple Carplay, a heat pump, a heated steering wheel, heated front seats, 12-way power driver seat, an 8-way power passenger seat, 4-way driver seat lumbar support, a 5-speaker audio system, and over-the-air updates.
There are no buttons, but there's a big screen. What can we put it in?
You got to put it in S for subscribe, and if you can hit that notification bell, you'll be notified when all of our reviews drop, and then you can watch them.
And we do this, the couple car review twice a week. The first one drops on Wednesday.
We put another one out on Saturday.
So make sure to like and subscribe, and also follow along on Instagram. It's Motormouth_Andrew to see what's up behind the scenes, and to get a question in. For me, it's Motormouth_Auto, and the links are below the like button. So we start all electric car reviews kind of the same. They all have similar characteristics. Batteries way down low, low center of gravity. They're fairly quiet and smooth. They have great acceleration because of all that torque. How does this one stack up?
Well, this one's kind of special because it's such a small crossover, and the all-wheel drive model, the power that it offers is terrific. That torque number, 400 pound-feet, acceleration is fantastic. You're not going to find a lack of power in this vehicle.
But it does have an issue. It's got all that power and it's nimble and it's all of that. But the steering, could it be any more vague? It's like no connectivity.
It's so light. I mean, when you are taking those corners, it just, I don't know, it just feels too light for me. I'm not crazy about it. I do hope that Volvo can change that along the way. It is very light right now, but you can go into the screen and take steering assist off. It does make a difference. It gets slightly heavier, but it still feels quite big.
How much assist do you need? Like, if you're that weak, maybe you should take the bus.
Oh my goodness.
All right, so it drives like an electric car. They're all very similar. This one, I find though, Andrea, the suspension calibration is very good. One of the hard things to do with an EV, because the battery's so big and heavy, is it kind of either bounces over the bumps or it's crashy. This one has good absorption, good rebound. I like that.
This is a great city runaround. I mean, for its size, it's so easy to parallel park. You can, maneuver it easily.
That's because the steering's so light.
You can turn it on a dime. I'm really enjoying it. It does a pretty good job eating up those bumps in the roads. Overall, Volvo's done a nice job with the handling.
This is like a little toddler, so cute. You want to pinch its cheeks. I think it's cute.
It's super cute, sporty, kind of sleek. It looks like a Volvo. I like the design. They nailed it with the exterior. It's like a little EX40, EX90. It has short overhangs, and it gives it a really balanced look. Plus, I like the design of the LED headlamps and LED tail lamps.
The one thing about Volvo designs is they're so clean and they're so well thought out that they age incredibly well in the marketplace. You look at like the XC90, I got it right, it's not CX90, it's the XC90. That vehicle is so well designed, it stayed looking great in the marketplace for all those years. I think this will hold up.
A couple things Volvo did, they used regular door handles. How nice is that in an EV? And there's a rear wiper, which we needed today with all of this rain. Now this gets 6.7 inches of ground clearance. It comes standard with LED headlamps, LED tail lamps, rear fog lamps, a roof spoiler, tinted rear windows, 18-inch wheels, available 19 and 20-inch wheels, and a tire repair kit. So there's one pedal drive. You can go into the screen and hit the button, or you can also do it on the steering wheel. So either or, you decide what you like.
I don't like. I'm going to turn that off. I hate one pedal drive. So then we turned our attention to the inside. This is where you're going to give it a thumbs up or you're going to give it a thumbs down. It's very creative. It's an amazing use of space. They've done a lot of things really well in this. However, they've made some choices that some people might not like everything in the screen. Tesla's the market leader and they have everything in the screen, so I guess Volvo thinks that's the way people want to go.
Well, people who own a Tesla model say they love it. They love how clean the interior is, and they don't have to think a lot about what's going on except what's in the screen, and there's very little clutter. That is the same with this model. Storage is excellent. There's a whole tray on the bottom, and then there's a part of that tray that you can lift up and you can hide little items away and cover it. Now,
that's where I put my Subway sandwich.
Everything is in the screen, including opening the glove box, and the glove box is right here underneath the screen, so it is easy to access instead of having it over here.
Yeah, you also have to go into the screen to pop the power liftgate. Kudos to Volvo, it's got a power liftgate, but you have to do it through the screen. So it's the same as Tesla, but some people might not like this. And then you have the material choices in here. Andrea's going to tell us it's all sustainable, vegan, recycled, all that. It's just not pleasing to the eye. I don't want the inside of my car to look like a recycled Tupperware container. They could have gone with nicer materials. We're going to talk in a moment about the EV3 from Kia. Way nicer interior.
I think when you look at the price, which we've got coming up, first off in Vital Stats, but also in our hot topic, we talk about tariffs, 100% tariffs now on Chinese-made EVs in Canada and the US. So
is this made in China?
This model that we're driving is made in China. So there's a lot of hard plastic in here, which when we did our first look video of this, I said the same thing.
Plastic fantastic.
It's everywhere. Now, there are some soft touch materials, and Volvo says they are sustainable, recyclable materials were used in this model, and I have to applaud them for the different color combos that are available. There are 4 that you can get in here. More variety on the top trim if you go with that higher model, but there's still a variety in here, and the seats are comfortable. Like, there's enough thigh support in here. It's pretty good.
Wait till we get to the back seat.
So the fixed glass roof, I mean, it's very bright and it's open. This is not a standard feature. And if you want to get a shade, you have to pay extra for that, but it is available.
Really? EX must stand for extra. Everything's extra.
At first, when I got in this vehicle, I was slightly alarmed by the lack of buttons in here, and we all want buttons. We don't want everything done in the screen, but it is well laid out, and it's easy to figure out where things are, and I think you can get used to it.
All right, so there are a couple of buttons. I said at the beginning there were no buttons. There's 2 buttons here for the windows. They go up and down, and then you have to toggle for rear to get the rear windows. Same thing, the answer to the question nobody was asking, and then you have your door unlock and lock here. So, and even up here there's some extra switches, but it's just so minimalist that you're gonna love it, as I said at the beginning, or you're not. Well, here's me getting in the back seat. Now the back seat is interesting. It's really scooped out so your bum sits low and your knees sit high, which wouldn't be comfortable, I wouldn't think, on a long road trip. How does it stack up?
Comparing the EX30 to the Tesla Model 3, the Volvo has 41.9 inches of front row legroom, which is about an inch less than the Tesla. Second row legroom at 32.3 inches is small, 2.2 inches smaller than the Model 3.
Lifting up the power liftgate on this model, the trunk space isn't that big. There is a false floor there, and that's where you're going to store your charging cable.
Cargo space behind the second row is 11.2 cubic feet, which is smaller than the Tesla. Overall cargo space at 27.8 cubic feet is a little bigger than the Model 3. The EX30 does have a frunk, but it's tiny at 0.2 cubic feet or 7 liters. The Model 3 frunk is 3.1 cubic feet, 88 liters, just to show you a comparison.
We're going to talk about those EV tariffs in a second. Right now, your questions.
Time now for questions, coffee, and cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Oh my God, it's finally here. I've been so excited to see your review of this lovely vehicle. What's it like having your speed in the center cluster instead of in a gauge cluster directly in front of the driver? Additionally, would you consider this more of a crossover or lifted hatchback?
It's all of that.
It is a little weird not having a gauge cluster, but I'm used to that with Tesla models. And when you're driving, the speed comes up right on the screen. And
it's at the top.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something for sure you could get used to. Do I love it? Not really. I'd like to have a digital driver display or something.
I remember it was the Toyota Echo that was sold in the 90s. It was the first car I ever had that had it there in the center, and the Prius had the same thing. And it's one of those things initially you're like, I don't know, but after, you get used to it. Is it a hatchback? Is it a lifted hatchback? I think it's a crossover. I think, getting in and out of it and living with it, I think it's more crossover.
Feels like a crossover to me, and it gets 6.7 inches of ground clearance. In regards to not having the gauge cluster, it certainly feels very open. Visibility is quite good for a small vehicle. So that is one bonus of having it.
You can see all the recycled plastic.
Yes, and also there's this cool sound bar across the dash that Volvo put in. Instead of having speakers throughout the vehicle to keep it really clean and simplistic.
I'm going to do that with ours, hon. I'm going to grab our Sonos soundbar and just jam it under the window.
Volvo didn't jam it.
No. Actually, what it also does is, because there's no speakers in the doors, makes the door cards way bigger for all your junk.
All the storage for such a little vehicle. Tons of storage. EV3 size. This is actually smaller than the EV3 that we recently drove in South Korea. And I actually said that in our video, that this one is smaller in comparison.
But you know what? It's well done. Like back to, we talked about it when we were driving. We talked about it just a moment ago. Packaging, the Swedes know how to do that. You ever been to IKEA? They know how to take a small space and use it for everything. And they've done that with this. I would say I'd give the edge to the Kia for interior refinement, nicer looking materials. But they're both practical and different and unique. And I think that's great that there's options out there for small little city runarounds.
Yeah, it certainly is fun to drive because it is so compact. I currently drive a Model Y and had high hopes for the EX30. I saw it in person and it's too small. The back has no room and some strange design emissions. Too bad, because I like the exterior.
Well, we actually just crunched the numbers on this. Was it this morning? We looked it up and we're like, Model Y and this full loaded one, Model Y is the easy answer. It's just, this thing's too expensive.
Yeah, it's really tough to get behind the pricing here in Canada. Including freight, PDI, and fees, it starts at just over $57,000. It's a lot for what you get. Now, if you've got somebody tall sitting in the front row, there's lots of legroom here. That is not an issue for the driver or the passenger in the front row. But if you need more space here, you're taking it from back there.
Yeah, but you just look at the Model Y. It's got a frunk and a trunk, and it's got a big well in the bottom of the trunk. It's so well designed. It's got tons of room. It just can't compete. This can't compete with the Model Y, and there's a reason why they sell more of those. And now it's time for our hot topic. What's this one, Andrea?
If the prices are not including the 100% tariff, does that mean the basic EX30 will be over $110,000?
To quickly explain the tariff situation, the United States imposed a 100% tariff on EVs made in China. Shortly after, Canada followed suit. This vehicle is made in China. In the United States, they've done a stop sale, not available in the US market. However, what did they do to get around that for the Canadian market?
Well, Volvo Canada brought in some of these EX30 models that are built in China before the tariffs took effect. They believe that the inventory they have will last until the beginning of 2025. From there, they will be sourcing another area in Europe to build the EX30. We assume Belgium, just like the US market.
Yeah, so those will eventually come into the market as European-built cars, and the European Free Trade Agreement is in effect, but I don't think they're going to have the same cost structure as the Chinese-made ones. So all of the pricing we've about to give you is all probably subject to change. So you want to go and do it now? Let's get into the pricing for the EX30. EX30.
Let's start with pricing. We'll do Canada first and then move on to the US. The pricing includes freight, PDI, and fees. The base rear-wheel drive model starts at just over $57,000, and the top trim all-wheel drive model is just over $65,500. So online for the US, there is no pricing available because there is a stop sale at this time on the EX30, as Volvo USA is going to be building that model in Belgium. However, when the press release first came out on the EX30, this is the pricing that was announced. The core rear-wheel drive model starts at just under $35,000, and the top trim all-wheel drive model is just over $46,500.
The EX30 has an 11 kilowatt onboard charger with speeds up to 153 kilowatts. With a DC fast charger, it'll charge from 10 to 80% in 28 minutes. On a level 2 charger, 8 hours. It's even rated to tow 2,000 pounds, and the warranty is 4 years, 80,000 kilometers, or 50,000 miles. In the United States, complimentary scheduled maintenance is covered for 3 years, or 36,000 miles. All right, so this is a EV crossover. We picked some other popular ones and a sedan you might want to consider.
For your consideration, 4 vehicles for you to consider.
Up first is the Kia Niro EV with 407 kilometers, 253 miles of range. It is 201 horsepower and a starting price over $48,000.
The Tesla Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive with 548 kilometers, that's 340 miles of range, at a starting price under $60,000.
The Tesla Model Y long-range all-wheel drive with up to 496 kilometers, 308 miles of range. It has a starting price of $64,000.
The Hyundai Kona EV with 418 kilometers, 260 miles of range, 201 horsepower, and a starting price of $49,000.
So there are 4 electric vehicles for you to consider.
Lightning round, 2 things we like, 2 things we like to see improved.
I really like the exterior design.
The interior packaging is very clever.
What I'd like to see is a lower starting price. I was really hoping this EX30 would be an affordable premium option.
Well, I'm going to hold judgment until I find out what the actual end price is going to be. So there it is. It's the EX30. What do you guys think of that?
Thanks for watching, and if you like what you see, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.